We have to thank you so much. Women consume pampering, men consume respect. This is something you can use anywhere. So whether you're in Nigeria or out there, just take those words. We have to thank you so much. Women consume pampering, men consume respect.
Oh, women ooh. Say it again, black man. Y'all write that down. Women consume pampering, men consume respect. Write that down, man. Bars. Wow. That's bars right there, man. Hey, I'm humbled. Damn. African proverb, man. Women consume pampering, men consume respect. Ain't that a
处上征收更高关税，这是在当地时间4月9号凌晨生效。那特朗普政府挥舞关税大棒，其实大家都不陌生，从他第一任期开始就是这样。但这一次范围更广，几乎涵盖所有的贸易伙伴。
As you guys know, I've been studying Mandarin for about 2 years as of this spring. When I am not listening to BGS's podcast in the morning, I listen to the news in Mandarin. And funny enough, this word keeps popping up in the news. I could give you 3 guesses as to the meaning of this word, but you probably only need one. It says Guan Shuijian, which means tariff war. I'm not saying that I'm an expert at financial anything, because I'm not. That's not my expertise. But as Martin said,
Look, Wallace, I don't know what's going on. And I'm not accusing you of nothing, okay? But something's going on.
The problem that I always come back to is we are sitting on 50-some years of a policy and of an agenda that has been sold to people. Now think about the amount of deprogramming that it takes to say, no, TVs being cheap is not the most important thing. Buying a new car every 5 years is not only financially responsible, but is also something that, the new bills and whistles and all that from China, that's not the be-all end-all of what your entire life is supposed to be about. Same with new consumer goods. The American dream is not built on cheap, MacBooks like this from China that you buy every 2 years, or an iPhone, which is basically the same over the last 10 years that you just renew all the time. It's about being able to have children if you want to, staying in place if you want to, moving if you want to, being able to buy a house and to pursue whatever it is that you want to do and not all the accoutrement that's in your house.
You have to sell people on a new and different bargain that is better than the one they have. And instead, what is being promised is just like, we're going to hike the prices of the things that have remained to be, relatively inexpensive. And we're not going to help you on healthcare. We're not going to help you afford a house. In fact, the tariffs are going to make housing even more expensive because many of the construction materials are, coming in from abroad and are going to be more expensive. So you're not offering people like, okay, we're ending this bargain of cheap consumer goods where China basically exported deflation on these cheap consumer goods. We're ending that bargain. But here's the new bargain. Here's what you get. You're going to be able to afford a home. You're going to be able to send your kids to college. It's going to be more affordable. You're going to be able to get help. None of that is being offered. So it's just, we're going to hike prices and you're going to suffer. For what? Nobody could really say.
For example, we also have a new MAGA version of the World Economic Forum. Let's put this up there on the screen. I genuinely love this one. You do not need the new iPad. You do not need the new cell phone. You do not need the new video game console. You want them. There's a big difference. If you look at the people whining about tariffs, I challenge you to ask how their lives have been affected in any way. In other words, you will live in the pod and you will eat bugs.
You will eat the bugs and you will love it.
I feel complicated, right? Because I kind of agree with him. I mean, is your life all that materially better because of the new iPad, the new cell phone, the new video game console, all the new products, electronic products that we've been able to purchase since the Great Recession? I don't think so. I think we're a much poorer country, actually. But, as we always say, if that's the only social contract that's on the table and you're going to screw with that, that's a big problem, unless you're offering something very, very different.
Let's talk about what happened in the stock market this week. Worst week for the market in 2 years. Does that worry you, Mr. Secretary?
Not at all. I've been in the investment business for 35 years, and I can tell you that corrections are healthy. They're normal.
If you're just causing a stock market crash and a recession, but there's no here's how we're going to build back better on the other side, then you're just causing pain. That's it.
Back up a taste? Just a taste. Just give me some room. Hey. Okay, the door's gonna slam about now.
Hey. Garbage man smooth than a mother. Ooh, you finna tell this boy about that. Look how you walk. You feeling good. Ooh, you run it.
So this guy asked me if I wanted kids, and I told him no. And of course he asked why. So I simply told him, when I'm done with the man, I just don't want any leftover trinkets from a silly game that we played. And especially some that may or may not end up looking like him.
When I say that I'm not a financial guy, I'm essentially saying that I'm not a guy who studied economics in school. I studied chemistry, science, other stuff. But what I can say is that I can see clearly that winds are changing and there is a different lifestyle ahead of us than the one that was behind us. And in this new world that we're headed into, the question can be asked simply, how much value is someone bringing into your life? And the attitude that you hear here with this young lady, how much is this attitude going to help you in a more uncertain, a more expensive future that's waiting for pretty much all of us if things continue the way that they're going right now? When we pay attention to the environment, something that we were taught to do by BGS IBMOR, one thing that you can see is something that you haven't been seeing recently. This video going viral of a garbage man getting the number of a young lady at a relatively nice house is a symbol that something is changing, and this young lady understands it. Generally speaking, the idea of dating a garbage man would have been seen as dating down. But for whatever reason, in this particular case, this young lady felt a need or a desire to get this man's phone number and link up or do whatever they choose to do in the future. This marks a change in direction.
Your man comes home and he's hungry. Would you wake up and make him a meal?
No. Hell no, he can buy his own shit. Be independent. No, he makes me a meal. What the fuck?
I didn't hear your answer.
I mean, I'm happily married. I'd make him a meal.
You'd make it?
Okay. Thanks, man. Damn, take it back. I'll make the meal. I'll make the meal.
When you listen to the ridicule being poked at this gentleman for making his requirements or his desires known, being picked on by Kev on stage, I want you to remember what our African brother said earlier in this video.
Women consume pampering. Men consume respect.
Y'all, you know, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but if you're looking for a man, just know that the reason you can't find him, a black man specifically, is because he's in Colombia already.
Yo, I saw this and I wanted to help any women to see if you were interested. His name is Rodney Dunn. He's 50, looking for a submissive woman who aims to please him and take care of all his needs. You must be educated and thick, must know how to cook because you will be cooking him 3 meals a day. No ugly duck women, no BBW women. Can't wear any weave, lashes, or makeup. You will get a weekly allowance of $100. I don't know where the line is between thick and BBW. Maybe you have to, submit your resume. But if anybody's interested for the weekly 100, there y'all go.
As can be imagined, when a black man makes these kinds of requests, ridicule is soon to follow. Rodney Dunn lost his mind. With that weekly allowance, I wouldn't be able to wear weaves, lashes, or makeup anyway. And Rodney can go straight to HELL. In the words of Marvin Sapp, close the door. Rodney has spent most of his adult years in a prison. I know one when I see one. Remember what we said earlier?
Women consume pampering. Men consume respect.
Oh, women ooh. Say it again, black man. Y'all write that down. Women consume pampering. Men consume respect.
Unpopular opinion. You gotta be a fragile man to want a submissive woman. Unc should probably get a dog if that's what he wants. Not gonna lie, he looks good for 150. Educated and this don't mix. I'd rather go to jail. Now this is a man looking for a young submissive woman to have in his life. And he is faced with this ridicule. So really, he's not left with many options except, well,
The black kings get divorced and then what happens? They're like, F it. We're moving on. Snow bunnies are going to clean me right out. So the snow bunnies get on top of things and they mix and they have this beautiful baby and the process continues. So I do find that black kings often go to black queens first. And then they're like, snow bunny time. They'll either divorce them, dump them, and then move on.
Your man comes home and he's hungry. Would you wake up and make him a meal?
No. Hell no, he can buy his own shit. Be independent. No, he makes me a meal. What the fuck?
I didn't hear your answer.
I mean, I'm happily married. I'd make him a meal.
You'd make it?
Okay. Thanks, man. Damn, take it back. I'll make the meal.
An interesting dichotomy happens in this interview when the first two ladies are asked a question. They give a kind of socially accepted answer of, oh no, I don't need a man, or if I have a man, he's going to serve me. But when they get to this lady here, she's married. And she simply says, hey, listen, I got a man. I need my man. I don't see any problem at all being acquiescent to him or giving him what he wants, because she knows that there's some value in having a man around. Could be from her upbringing or whatever. The difference, of course, is as soon as she says that, the other two young ladies realize, if I want a man, I'm going to have to amend my attitude. And let's be honest, when a woman is ready to get her man, she's going to go after him and take care of him.
Women consume pampering. Men consume respect.
Oh, women ooh. Say it again, black man. Y'all write that down. Women consume pampering. Men consume respect.
Salute to Guy Incognito for bringing this to my attention. This is a very simple Instagram story that shows that when a woman is ready to go after a guy, she's going to go after him. She lived 4 blocks away from the guy, and the first date he was supposed to pick her up, and they had a flat tire. And so guess what they did? They rode bikes around the San Francisco area. Very simple date, right? And it continues. He started liking her. He brought her flowers and a love letter very quickly, and they couldn't really do any kind of dating. They were dating during the pandemic, so they had to be creative. They were going on picnic dates, as you can see here, and they took turns working at each other's house from home when they couldn't go into the office. And guess what happened 3 months into their dating? He proposed to her. 3 months. She made herself available. She made it known that she's going to be his woman. 3 months is all it took. When a guy wants to get married, he knows. I mentioned this earlier in the video. I am not a financial guru by any means, but I do know that something is upon us, if for no other reason than more and more upwardly mobile black men are starting to notice when they go to the gym, when they go to the supermarket, etc., that they are starting to get choosing signals from quote unquote snow bunnies or even Latinas, because those young ladies know that a change is around the corner. And there's nothing that's going to make that change more comfortable than a productive, well-meaning black man to provision for you and love on you. In our community, unfortunately, when a man that has a stable situation is saying, I'll give you $100 a week and I have a place, I just want someone that's going to not have a BBL and be nice to me and cook for me, is ridiculed. But that said, we have to be careful because we're going into uncharted waters, and there's no one to speak on that better than someone who's dealt with the fallout from the last time we went through a very difficult situation in our country, in our black community.
You know, I guess, you know, maybe where we're headed is inevitable. I think it's being done rather inartfully or unarticulately by our current president. And I mean, we're going to learn a lot. We're going to learn a lot about ourselves. The whole, not getting the flat screen TVs, and we are going to learn a lot about our relationships with each other.
What relationships?
Well,
we atomized like a mug.
That's the thing too. I think we're going to have to start becoming compounds again. I think we're going to have to start becoming complex compounds instead of these discretely existing atoms. I think people are going to have to hunker down with each other a little bit and share a little bit more with each other and reconfigure some of their dietary consumption. In some ways, I see some potential good from it, from the standpoint of it will cause us all to some degree to reevaluate the merits of our relationships and what we own and what we buy or don't buy, what we get excited about. If there is some possibility in this maybe of reform between black men and black women, if for no other reason but sheer survival.
Necessity.
Necessity. There is some possibility of that. Look, if we're we're reducing government and all that, then you're not going to be able to afford to send police on DV calls, for example. You know, so maybe, you know, over the long term, there's some good to be done for it, but certainly the aggressiveness by which Trump is proceeding and the lack of preparation internally is going to be tumultuous for
I agree with that. Yeah. I agree with that. Like I said, if there's a plan that we don't know about, and obviously we don't have a choice but to let it play out. That's not our choice. Okay, cool. What is my trade for this not as expensive as it can be PlayStation or Xbox? Like, what's the trade-off for that? Right? And if I still don't get the cooperative woman, and if I still don't get the unionized job,
that is, y'all, we go back hooping in the park again.
Yeah,
and maybe the women come out there and watch us hoop like we used to do. You know,
I'll be down for that.
When kids growing up, maybe that's the trade-off. Maybe instead of she got to do Ruth Chris, we picnic in the park while we watch people play soccer.
Black Uru, these modern chicks would rather shave their head bald.
Well, I mean, it depends. You know, when the options are no longer there to do, you know, mammalian females are very survivalistic, and I don't put much cotton in a whole lot of that uppity talk when she really gets cut to the quick. I don't put that much stock in it.
I'll say this, Buckaroo. I respect you as an elder, so I will not disagree that most of them will get their mind right. What I will say is more of them would rather be under the bridge than I think you think.
Well, you know, here's the problem with being under the bridge. It's going to be dangerous as hell under that bridge.
It's easy to make fun of my man Rodney Dunn here when food in the supermarket is affordable and it has all of the things that you want to eat at a price that you can afford. You can afford gas and you can go where you want. You have your job. You have a house with air conditioning, all of that. But when things aren't as comfortable as you're used to and things become a little less stable, there is nothing that's going to help you more than having someone in your corner. Now, you can say things about, well, he's not as attractive as I like, or he's too short, or he wants too much. But the truth be told, there's going to be some lady somewhere, sooner or later, that's going to see Rodney Dunn and see a man that looks like a tasty morsel. And she's going to walk up to him and say, you're a very nice guy, and can I come over and make you some fried rice or some tamales or whatever food she might specialize in. And for the ladies that ridiculed or mocked Rodney Dunn, all I can say is that you're only 1 or 2 paychecks if you're the average American from that metaphorical bridge. And what can keep you away from that bridge any better than a man who cares about you, who will go out and do whatever he needs to do to make sure that you have a roof over your head and heat to keep you warm. But if that man is trash to some ladies, he will be treasure to others. And as we go into this world that is more unpredictable or worse than we've ever known, there's nothing better than to have a man that treasures you in home with you. And if you don't treasure that man, then guess what? There's going to be a woman somewhere on this planet that will. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below. I'll catch you next video. Take care, guys.